Welcome back to the Adventure Athletes podcast, world's #1 podcast for adventure athletes, celebrating those putting themselves through virtuous struggles in order to benefit the world around them. In this week's episode, I sit down with Paul Breen, who is the founder of Gert Lush Events and also the organiser of the UK Berkeley Marathon. In this week's episode, we talk about his journey from suicide, getting into ultra events, how Gert Lush do things different, why failure doesn't matter, and seeking opportunities in some unusual places. Now, at the start of each episode, I like to give a shout out to someone that's been inspiring me on Instagram, and this week I would like that to go to Jacob, who's known on Instagram as Lamb18. That's Lamb with 2 B's, 18, who's just done 5 ultras in 5 days, running from North to South Wales. Incredible challenge from an incredible person. Now, at the end of each episode, we set a weekly challenge for you guys to take part in and to tag us on all of your socials as well. So if you want to take part in any of our weekly challenges, I am backtracking them and uploading them onto the website. And for this week's challenge, just make sure you listen to the end as well. Now, as you guys know, I am fundraising for BigMoose, where I'm doing a charity event where I'm going to be flipping a tyre for the distance of a marathon. So if you want to support me and support BigMoose, then please donate following the link in the description below, where you'll also find the other links for anything we've spoken about in this podcast, including Paul and Gert Lush Events. But for now, enjoy the podcast. I always start off my podcasts talking about the call to adventure. Have you read much about the hero's journey and the call to adventure?
I've heard a few things. Is that about the steps and stuff like that, or the? I've read back. Yeah, I think I'm getting confused with the chap off of what's the surfing film, where it's the 12 tenets of life and stuff. But
I've not seen that.
Cody and it's the old school. And I forget that's awful that I forget their name. Patrick Swayze film back in the day with Keanu Reeves about a surfing guy that basically robbing banks. Okay. And then they brought a new one out, and it's more about the things of life, of how to be an adventurer and how to live your life pure and stuff, but whilst doing that they're robbing places but giving all the money to the poor. Okay. So yeah, it's kind of I kind of like that idea of life, to be honest. But yeah, good film, gotta watch it.
Very Robin Hoodie, that is.
Yeah, Robin Hoodie, but I was a bit hesitant because, let's face it, it's Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. You just don't mess with that. Yeah. But it was good. It was right. But yeah, they've got this. Yeah, the 12 tenets of life on there and stuff. So I think I might be getting it confused with that. But I have read. I'm sure I've read something about it.
Yeah. So the call to adventure, basically with the hero's journey, is just taken through the stages of like any film you see. Like I always say, Lord of the Rings. You've got like hobbits living in the Shire. Gandalf comes along, there's this ring, and that's the call to adventure. Is there's a thing that's happening that you can either answer the call to, and it will take you through this transformation for you to change your life, or you just leave it ringing in the background. But the call's always going to be there, it's just whether you answer it or not.
Okay.
So I always think about like the call to adventure. We've all got our own life, in our own stories to tell. So I just want to know, what was your call to adventure?
I've always been sort of an adventurous person. I knew from an early age I was joining the military in some form, and I left sort of school and joined the army, and I went in sort of just 17, just literally just turned 17. I went to phase 1 training down in ATL Winchester. And just loved it. I knew that it was my sort of life, and it wasn't the whole carrying a gun round or anything like that. It was just every day was different, and it'd be like be sat in the troop store. So I was in a cavalry regiment, which is tanks and the occasional horse. It was. You'd be sat in a troop store doing a kit check or tool check or something. Someone would come in and go, "Does anybody want to go sailing for a week?" Like, yeah, okay. I just used to put my hand up for everything, and I went sailing for a week, over to Guernsey or Jersey, or anybody want to go there? Rock climbing instructors, yeah, okay. Anybody want to post into Canada for 2 years, an adventurous training instructor, yeah. And then there was the bad ones. We need someone in Iraq or whatever. And I used to put my hand up for that because some of the best times. So that's where my sort of adventurous spirit came from. With Gert Lush and the Berkeley Marathons UK, that was on my journey from a dark place. So I left the armed forces after serving 10 years, and my wife at the time, me and her were starting a family and everything like that. And a few months after leaving the armed forces, I knew something was wrong. I wasn't feeling right. I started to gain a lot of weight, and as the months ticked by, it just got worse and worse and worse. And after sort of a year, I went and spoke to a doctor, and they, at the time, and I get it, I understand why they did it, they diagnosed me with PTSD. Now, everything I did in the armed forces and in the army, and we saw some nasty stuff, as you can probably imagine, I'm okay with. Not in a good way, but I dealt with that and I understood it. I knew that I was walking into that. So the diagnosis of PTSD just made things worse, to be honest. It didn't sit right with me. It's like someone saying, sky's purple. It's not. I can see it's blue. And it just didn't sit right. So that sort of got worse and worse, and the weight piled on, and I got to like nearly 18 stone. Marriage breaking down, not good relationship with the kids and anything like that. And in the army, you get taught, make a decision, be decisive. So I was like, do you know what? I'm not helping anyone like this. And I need to make a decision. So my happy place was always in the mountains. When I lived in Canada as an AT instructor and stuff like that, I loved it. So I thought, no, this is it. So I sorted all my bits out, and I headed up to Snowdon. Climbed Snowdon, got to the top, sat down, and sort of made the decision of, right, you're going to flip a coin. If it's tails, end it, jump over. If it's heads, you're going to give yourself 6 months to a year and try and do things that make your life better. If it doesn't work, come up, jump off. Luckily, land on heads. Gust of wind could have changed that, but that's what happened. I believe someone, I'm not sure who still, but someone informed Mountain Rescue that that I was up there doing that, and I was walking down with them, and I started chatting to one of the guys, and he said, what's that? And I said, like, armed forces, and I just can't integrate back into society. I just don't. Something's bothering me about it. And he said, I felt exactly the same. And I said, it's not all the PTSD. It's just I can't integrate. I need timings. I need rigidity. I need a purpose. I need a plan. I need to move forward with it. And I said, everybody keeps telling me I'm in this bloody tunnel, and that light at the end of the tunnel just never gets any closer. It's almost like you're just on a treadmill, just going. And he said, no, that's rubbish. He said, you're in a well, and you're at the bottom of the well. And he said, and you're looking up to the light and above you. And he said, and there's all little ridges. He said, and you just need to climb on those ridges. And sometimes people will be helping you up onto those ridges, and you need to accept that help. And sometimes you need to get your ass onto that ridge. And then he said, and then you can look back and look at the floor, and that's where you've come from. So it's progression. And that's sort of, that's where it completely changed my perspective. And I say that's perspective on it. And that's where my life changed, and I accepted the challenge. I accepted the challenge of doing something. you know. And that challenge in 2 days later was go for a run. Fit guy in the army, really fit guy. I went out and ran 2.5k, and oh my Christ, my heart nearly exploded. It was awful, like as in the run was awful. But I tell you what, it was the best I'd felt in years. Come back sweating, like threw up, everything, like just because I went hard. And yeah, it was awful. And then I ran for like the next couple of months, like every day I just started running. And when I wasn't running, like in the day, I was like walking. What can I do? Like, I'll just go for a walk. And I gave up drinking for a long time, and I started, not having a kebab. I was living back with my mum at the time in a little bedroom in the back of her house, which I left home at like 17. So that was a big adjustment change and stuff like that. And marriage was over, having to see me kids in the little room and stuff like that. But I was like, no, this is part of the challenge and stuff, and keep moving forward on, and find new challenges to set yourself. So I then signed up for the Cardiff half marathon. Worst time ever. Great race. And it was, sort of 2 hours, sort of, I don't know, 15, 16 minutes, something like that. And again, best I've ever felt. And then, okay, where can I go from here? New challenge. Absolute natural progression, as any runner will tell you. If you've done a half marathon, you need to sign up for 100 kilometres. Yeah, that was probably a mistake in hindsight. But I went on and did a 100 kilometres, London to Brighton 100k, and I got to 96 kilometres. And found out about how important electrolytes are, because I suffered with hyponatremia and collapsed, that was the end of my race. So I got 4 kilometres away from the finish, but again, everybody was going, "Oh, I'm gutted." I'm like, "I'm not. It's awesome. Like, what an experience." And it doesn't matter about failure. Failure's irrelevant. And people say it's the journey, it's not the goal and stuff like that. Yeah, it is, but it's also the goal as well. Failing to do something is an opportunity. Like, why did I fail? How can I adjust it? Actually, how much did I fail by? I hadn't trained for 100k. Just been out running. I've been doing like 10k's. That was it. Like, just jogging. Well, I made it 96k. So on a good day, if I'd have took electrolytes, I'd have made the 100k easy. So it's like, you look at it different perspective again. So yeah, that was where my sort of journey started, really. And it's a sort of longer goal, longer thing. But yeah, that's how I started to accept a challenge then. So yeah.
That is quite a story. Not gonna lie. Something that I thought was really interesting though was you talking about failure and being like, yeah, like, it's okay. And I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I've set myself some really hard challenges, and I used to really struggle with the idea of failure. It's something that's always bothered me. I'm like, I never want to feel like a failure. I never want to not be able to do something. And now I'm trying to think, failure is the goal.
Failure's awesome.
I'm trying to find where I can get to, and then you can build on that. But without knowing that point, there's nothing to build on. No. It's just guessing.
I listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff like that, and I listen to, I'm not going to name names or anything, but people out there going, well, I did this, and, I did that, and on my first attempt I did that, and I did that, and, I've really pushed my goals. I'm like, you achieved everything you went out for, so you've got more in you, so you need to step up, really. Yeah. Like, that's how I think it. I'm like, nah, if you're not pushing your goals and getting to that breaking point. So yeah, and I've not found my breaking point. Well, you're not pushing hard enough then, because you need to fail to learn how to grow. Yeah. But yeah, it's I say on the Berkeley race, everyone's a loser. No one's finished it yet. No one's probably going to for a very long time. Challenge accepted. But I was chatting to someone about it, and they were like, "I'm really worried." They were really worried to come and fail, and they were an average runner. I was like, "You've got no chance of finishing this. No chance. You've got no chance of getting on to lap 4. You know, your goal should be maybe a fun run." And they were like, they couldn't get it. I was like, "Do you understand that you're a loser? We're all losers, because none of us are going to win the race of life. We're all going to die. You know, Walt Disney tried it, he failed. You know, we're all going to lose. So it's about how we do in the race. We're in the race now. We're all going to lose. None of us are going to win it. Just enjoy the race and just enjoy those moments and seeing where your limits are. So that how can I adjust it and change it and, you know, and go from there." And they went on and they did 2 laps, and I said, "Oh, go on, you go on the 3rd." And they were like, "No chance. That is my limit." And they crawled across the line, and they came up to me a few days later and was like, "Next year 3." And I was like, "Exactly. That's where we're at." You know, you understand that message now, and so they're coming back and doing 3, and this year hopefully. But
that's a great way of looking at it, and I think what you've done for them through your event is what the guy from Mountain Rescue did to you. It's just giving people a different little perspective. And you know, I say to everybody, "Can you swear on this one?" Yeah, I'm full of shit. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. Right, I'm making it up. Like it is. And anybody that says to you like they're a guru on stuff, ignore them. Like, just move on. I don't know what I'm fucking doing. Right, I'm not a race director. I'm just, you know, I'm an AA patrol by day. But you know, I'm failing, and I'm learning, and stuff like that. And if I can give somebody a little bit of knowledge and that changes their perspective, great. If the little bit of knowledge I give you doesn't work for you, fuck it off. Just get rid of it. Like, everybody's got opinions and none of them matter. Yeah.
Like, so you know, that's where I'm at. Is just, if it works for you, great, fantastic. If it doesn't, find something else. So hopefully, you know, and I hope to think we have sort of helped people. But again, I want to help more, because there's that. You know, why, if I can help that many people, why am I not helping that many people? You know, so that's where I see it. So that it'll never finish. It's never, the goal's never going to be won, and I will fail. Yeah. So
that reminds me of something Jeff said to me, and it's to do with this podcast. Is I went to him and I was trying to get him on the podcast, and I was like, "Look, I really want you to come on. Like, you're a massive inspiration to me." And I was talking about getting like an advert for BigMoose, because I'm fundraising for BigMoose.
Yeah.
After I met him, as everyone does, went away committing to raise 10 grand for BigMoose.
Oh, he's a nightmare, and he just you can raise this much.
Yeah. So he sold me on all of that. So I was like, right, I need to push it. Then I'm going to put BigMoose start of every podcast. Finally had him on this week, and I was talking to him, and he was like, "Oh, how many listeners do you usually get?" And I was like, "Well, it's still quite small. It's just me in my flat. Get like 50 to 100 listeners per episode." But I was like, I'm not doing it for the views. I'm doing it for me. Like, I get so much out of this podcast. Like, it's unreal. Like, I'm meeting some amazing people. Yeah. And then he just turns around and goes, "If they're having an impact on your life, imagine how much of an impact they can be having on other people's lives as well. You need to push this out there more and get this to as many listeners as you can."
Yeah, I totally agree with Jeff. I love Jeff. You know, we've got 600 followers on Instagram, and people have gone about followers and stuff like that. And but a couple of months ago we had 200. But it's those chance meetings and meeting more people. And, you know, I was at work I'm an automotive locksmith by trade. I was doing a key, got back in my AA van, and Damien Hall ran past me. Just ran past me. I'm like, what the hell? And most people, you know, if you're not a runner or follower, you wouldn't know. You just think this, like, whippet of a guy run past you and stuff like that. And I'm like, saw the Mohawk, and I was like, it's Damien Hall. So I chased him down in the AA van, literally shouting out the window, Damo, Damo, Damo. And he's like thinking, Jesus, some AA guy's like hunting me down. So I jumped out of the van and said, I'm really sorry, like, big fanboy. And he was like, all right, yeah, okay. And I said, my name's Paul Breen, I'm from Gert Lush Events. And he went, oh, yeah. And he was like putting it together, and he sort of knew. And I went, oh, the Berkeley Marathon's UK. And he went, yes, yeah, know you follow it and stuff like that, and started chatting to him about it, trying to get him to commit to come and do it and stuff like that. But what a great guy, that chance meeting, a couple of days later, he said, send me some stuff, we'll get you out there. And overnight I went from sort of 200 followers to nearly 600 followers, and then that's put me in touch with other people, and it's making those connections. So I'm not worried about getting 10,000 followers and stuff like that, because I get messages already from people that have come and done our Berkeley, people that are going to come and do our other events, people that we've helped through things we do from events, which we'll cover later, and I've had messages from them saying, from one chap, he went, you saved my life. I don't care if I don't do anything else. I've won. I've saved one person's life. Like how Jeff must feel on BigMoose, they've saved loads. I got that small bit of it, but that, if I do nothing else, I can say on my deathbed, I saved someone's life. But I've improved people's day. I've made people smile. Making people smile is awesome. Doesn't matter how you do it. Doesn't matter if you make a tit of yourself. It is what it is. So don't take yourself too seriously, and people will smile around you. And tell you what, smiling is infectious. Numbers are irrelevant. It's like if you're helping one person, you're winning.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's a really good outlook. You've spoken a lot about Gert Lush already. Yeah. Let's get into it. How did Gert Lush come about?
Oh, tell you what. So I was training for the Marathon des Sables. And we went to the National Runner Show, me and my new wife. And it was around the time that the Berkeley Marathons in America documentary came out. I don't know if you can remember, it was just mental. It was mental. Everybody was watching it in the running world. And Lazarus Lake was at the National Running Show. Now, I'm telling you, having now been to the National Running Show quite a few times, when he came on stage, it was like all the Beatles had flipping gone on stage. People were leaving their own stalls, just shutting their stalls down and flocking to the stage to listen to this demigod of trail running talk. And I was gutted because we were 30 rows back, couldn't get close to him, And I do say to people, it's like if you ever watch the Life of Brian and the old Monty Python, it's like, what's he saying? And like it was like that at the back going, and it was amazing to see, but it was gutted because I couldn't, say, oh, you're right. So anyway, we went there all day, and then we were leaving. The end of the day, long day. Me and my partner were leaving, and we went up the atrium, and right at the end, on his own, was Lazarus Lake having a fag. And I was like, no. And now my partner went, go on, speak to her. So I just popped up and said, oh, I'm really sorry. Like, hi, I'm Paul, and really big fan, and like find your thing really inspiring. And we was chatting. He's the loveliest guy, genuinely is. And he was signing my book and stuff like that. And I sort of said to him, oh, it's a funny story. I said, my family and I come from a place called Berkeley in Gloucestershire. And he just looked at me. He stopped signing and he went, really? You spelt the same? And I went, no. And he went, you should start up a Berkeley Marathons UK. And I just went, no, bugger off. Like, I've got training for the MDS. I'm trying to get my fitness thing. I was looking at doing an Ironman afterwards. Got kids to look after. I'm struggling with getting my mental health back together. It was a good place, but it still needs to improve. And and I was no, calm yourself down, lads. Anyway, we went away, And we went and did the MDS, and for those of you who've ever done the MDS know about it, there's a lot of nights where you just spent a lot of time under a bivvy, and you just talking to your tent mates. And our tent was Tent 65, the Tent 65 massive, awesome people, really like friends for life. And we were chatting, spitballing and stuff. And one of the things that came up, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, raising money for this charity, raising money for that charity and stuff like that. It's really hard to ask the same people to sponsor you every time." We all agreed. We were like, "Yes, it's difficult." So then someone said, "Well, why don't you..." We talked about Lars and meeting him, and he told me to start the Berkeley Marathon UK. And one of the guys went, why don't you? But then just give all the money to charity. And then you don't have to, you know, you're going to feel good about yourself because you're doing your charity stuff. But you don't have to ask people because you're giving people something. And I was like, oh, it's not a bad idea. So then chat. Sadly, I DNF'd at the long stage because I did the 35th edition of the MDS where D&V wiped everybody out, and it was one of the hottest years ever. It was like 56 degrees in the dunes. Sadly, a couple of people lost their lives. One on the race. And so I DNF'd from that, feeling a bit sort of bad about myself. But again, I then went back to the hotel, and a day later, after I'd got off the toilet, I was like, "Oh, what a journey, though!" You know, we went to Cyprus for heat training. We went there. I was like, "What a journey!" It doesn't matter if I'm not finished. What a journey I've had, and what a race it was. You know, in the dunes, talking to everybody, and then I was like, oh, "I could do this, Berkeley. I could get this done." So yeah, we came back from there and started planning. It was important for me to double check with Lats that he was okay with this, because I knew I was going to get a lot of flack. People saying you're just copying off there, and there's been copies already. There's been copies of the Berkeley around the world, but I wanted to get Laz's blessing again, if you will. So I tried to get a message to him. It was the wrong email address, and then it was the wrong Facebook thing. There's people copycatting his Facebook. And I finally got hold of him and sent him this email. And I sort of said to him, "Look, you know, you won't remember, I sent him the picture of me and him together. I said, I come from Berkeley, I told him the story again. I said, I want to do this, but I want to give all of the profits to charity. I want to do it the same format as you, so it's 5 laps. I want to do the book pages. I want to do this. I want to do that. Are you okay with that?" I didn't think I'd get an email back or anything. Now, those of you that have ever seen an email or Facebook post from Laz, you get it in 2 ways. You either get like 3 words, or you get a massive essay. And I just got this massive essay, and it went. I got the 3 words, and it went, "Just do it." And I was like, "Okay, copyright," but you know. But I was like, "Okay, yeah." And then so I sent him back this other like message and saw that, and he sent me back a longer one this time, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, happy with it. You know, do it's for charity. You know, do as you will, but these are my rules." He said, make it accessible for every runner, so not just fast, you know, people that can run 100 milers in every day or whatever. Like he said, make it accessible for every type of runner. I was like, okay. And the second rule was make it nigh on impossible. And I was like, oh, all right, how the hell are we going to do this? So chat with a few people, planning. We came up with this concept and stuff, an area, and then I put it out to a few sort of forums. Didn't say what it was, but sort of put it out to a few Facebook groups, and someone said, "Sounds like a Berkeley Marathons." I was like, "Oh, you should speak to John Kelly, obviously finisher of the Berkeley Marathons America." And I was, Tennessee, what's he going to input? And they said, yeah, he is from Tennessee, but he lives in Bristol at the moment. Yate, in fact, which was 10 minutes from Berkeley. I was like, you're kidding me. Message. Didn't think I'd get a reply. Replied, yeah, I know the area. I run it a lot. Love it. Love the idea. Love the idea of charity. And I said, we're going to do this. I'm going to do 48 hours, 5 marathons. And he was like, nah, 24. I was like, what? No. Didn't think that was possible. So then he said I could complete that in that route. I'd have to have a good day. Everything would have to go right, but I could complete that. Then I started looking at other races about similar distance, elevation, stuff like that. And then looking at longer races like the Grand Union Canal and stuff, and looking at those times. And I was like, it's a 4:48 marathon. You've just got to run a 4:48 consecutive marathon, which is, tough, but doable. It is doable. So there, the first Berkeley Marathons was put on, and we had like 20 runners. And it went well, it was good. We had the pages and everything like that, and we put the books in a box, and we put locks on them. And I want to put my spin on. I'm a locksmith, so I gave them 11 keys, unnumbered, on a key ring. There's only 10 boxes, and they had to go around and try these keys, each key to get the book out to rip the page out. That didn't go massively to plan, but it was everybody came back and goes, ruddy keys, and I was like, I know, right? Like mentally challenging you, and they were like, oh, I suppose, yeah. And then the next year we changed them to digital locks, so it's a bit easier. But on the front of the box there's a riddle or a mathematical equation, and they have to figure that out. So when you're tired and stuff, and you figure it out.
Man.
Yeah, oh no, that's not even half of it. So yeah, and I pass this stuff to Laz. I send Laz a message now and again and go, can we do this? And then that was the first year. We raised sort of 600 quid, gave that to a charity, and we also helped someone get their place in the London Marathon because they had to raise a certain amount for charity. So it was using that charity got all the money, but also someone got a place to run their London Marathon, which was their dream. So it's like double bubble, if you will. And I liked that concept of not just giving money. It was, how can we eke out every bit of good from what we're doing? So then we came up with the idea of, do you know what? The number plate and the piece of clothing that Laz requests on his race, we don't want that. That's fine. We don't need that. What else can we do with that? So we partnered with Jog On, who are a shoe recycling charity, and they're at the National Running Show. If you've ever been, it's all the trainers in the boxes, and like Tony Piedad runs that. And we're like, yeah, we like that idea. People have got to bring one set of old trainers to recycle, and it keeps them out of landfill. And then the other item they've got to bring is a food bank item. And I was like, yeah, because like loads of people bring a food bank, great. That had its own challenges because the local council didn't want to know. They didn't want this food bank item, which I found very strange. It was all complicated. How is it coming to us? It's just, we want to donate stuff. I couldn't see the problem. So I then got in touch with a local, smaller run, one called the GL11 Project, and they were like, yep, bring it. And they were expecting a couple little bits. So then the next year the Berkeley ran, and everybody came along. The box of shoes got filled. I thought we'd get quarter of the way. People brought brand new trainers, so they could be like given to, because they don't just recycle them. If they can be used, they get given out, or they get shredded and made into things and stuff like that. So that was amazing. And then what we said to the food bank place was, give us your top 5 items that you're desperate for. And it was like nappies, tinned meals, hygiene products and stuff like that. So then we sent the top 5 out to the runners and said, you must do that. And this year we got 48 runners, so we doubled our numbers. And amazing. The community is amazing because pretty much everyone brought 3 or 4 of the items.
Yeah. So
they didn't just bring one; they brought loads, and we put them all in a van, took it up to the GL11 Project, and they were like, this is more than we've got in our food bank at the moment. I was like, well, awesome. So that was, that, and I told everybody that, and that made that that made the people coming feel good. So they're giving me stuff. It's not really costing me anything, to do, but we've eked out, the small, a can of beans. It doesn't cost a great deal. It doesn't need to be top beans. It can be like value beans. A can of beans is making me feel good, making them feel good, making the charity feel good, and making the person receiving those beans at the end of it from the food bank feel good. 16p can of beans or whatever it is. It's amazing, so that's what we want to do with the Berkeley. And then I sent Laz a message after the first one, and I said, any chance of an interview? Laz doesn't do interviews really. And he said, yeah, come on. And we did a Zoom call and stuff like that. And we ended up talking for 2 hours, which was amazing with Laz. Wow. And at the end of it, he went, "You should run a backyard." I was like, "Oh, mate, come on. I've already done this. You told me to do it. I haven't got time." So I looked into it and I was like, "Oh, right, okay, we could do that." But then we needed a company to oversee it, and me and my wife were like, "Oh God, what can we do? And what can we? A lot of time, and then what do you name it? God, the name is everything." That went on for weeks, and then she said, "What do you want it to be? What do you want it to stand for? What do you want it to be?" I said, "I don't know." And I'm from the West Country, obviously, as you can probably tell. "Oh, and I don't know. I just want it to be Gert Lush." And we both looked at each other and went, "Gert Lush Events." Gert Lush Events. That's it. It's Gert. And Gert, for those that don't know, Gert is just big. It's massive. It's thing, and it can be massive in distance and in challenge or size or whatever. But yeah, Gert is Gert. Lush it's awesome. It's amazing. It makes you feel lush, and obviously events. So yeah, that's how Gert Lush Events was born. So we put on. We've launched the Breakheart Backyard Ultra, which sold out pretty much in 2 months, and to the point I've been hounded to add 40 more places, of which there's only like 9 left now. So we've got that in June, and then we were thinking, what else? Maybe we could, make a business out of this, and and everything, and that's what we've done. We've made a business out of it, but the Berkeley Marathons is completely for charity. All of the money goes to small charities. All the profit, which is about £4,000, goes to small charities. And this, after running the last Berkeley Marathons UK, I met someone who I'd met already in the desert, Kevin Webber, and he sort of put me in touch with Jeff from BigMoose. And I was like, yeah, meeting Jeff, inspirational guy, the whole group of them, amazing. And I was like, you're going to be our charity, our main charity. And then we're going to pick a small charity to give money to as well each year. So that's how that came about with this sort of charity stuff. And I was like, I want it to be like this, but I'm in the lucky position at the moment. I've got a full-time job. I don't need to make money off this. And I think and I'm not slagging them off, but there's a lot of race directors or companies out there at the moment that are charging an extortionate amount of money, and sometimes for not a lot, if anything, right? And that's their model. Awesome. Hope it works for them. Fantastic. But I didn't like it because I didn't think it's as inclusive as it could be. People struggling, especially at the time we're in now, with money, getting in. So my aim is to keep prices as low as I can, whilst benefiting my community, and having a positive social impact with all of my events. So all of our events, there will be some charity aspect to it, with BigMoose. All of our events have now adopted the 2 mandatory items rule, so a pair of shoes and a food bank item, which G11 Project aren't overly happy about because they said they might need to buy an ISO container to store it all, which is a good problem to have. That's where we start, and we started. That's what our basis is, and we've grown already in that. Gert Lush Events was born, and it's Gert Lush as in we just want to have that positive social impact and get people involved and change people's lives a little bit. Only not, for the mega, but just a little bit. And the meetings that I've had like this here, and and we're talking at the Run for Good and meeting the Dawn Stalkers, and I'm helping out today. I'm going from here to help set up all the ultra fun run for BigMoose, and I'll be there helping Marshall tomorrow. It's great. It's a new lifestyle. So
yeah, it seems like you've completely changed from how you was, like we were saying about the hero's journey. You answered that call to action, that coming out of the military, not happy with where you are, and you've completely switched it. You seem so happy and fulfilled in what you're doing now. It's incredible to see.
Yeah, I am. But that hole, so I talk about that well, when I climbed out the well, probably about, I would say 6 to 7 months after flipping the corner of the mountain, I'd reached the hole in the well. But it's very important that when you climbed out of that well, you look back at it, because what is it now? It's now a hole in the ground. That hole's always going to be there, and I could always fall back down that hole. So it's about moving away from that hole. And our sort of mantra is keep smiling and keep moving forward, because I'm moving away from the hole. So yeah, very positive, but I've had very dark days since even getting out of that hole. Sadly, my brother lost his life at the end of COVID. He was a nurse, and he had a few mental health issues. That was a traumatic time for me, as you can imagine. But I'd been building this toolbox of how can I help. Okay, if you're stressed, go for a run, go for a cycle, go for a swim, do something, if you want to just go and get wasted, don't go and do this, go and do that. So I built a toolbox. So yeah, I love him where we are, but that hole's always going to be there, always going to be in probably eye shot of it, but I'm just going to try and move forward away from it as much as possible.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's truly incredible what you're doing, especially with the Gert Lush Events stuff. Not just all the things you're doing for charity around it, but running the events themselves.
That's difficult.
making it different and having your own spin on it. So many races could just be we're just gonna do a trail marathon. This is the course. Go on, off you go.
Yeah.
So having the thing with the keys, I'd love that.
Yeah. So going back to that, if you go on our website and our YouTube channel, there's a thing called the tower reactions. So halfway around on the Berkeley Marathons in the loop, there is the Tyndall Monument. It's a 112-foot tower, and it's a spiral staircase to the top. So I was like, let's put the checkpoint at the top. So they have to walk up the spiral staircase. And it's a bit of an elevation up to the tower as it is, so your legs are a bit tired. And you've just run a half marathon, even on your first lap. So then we put I told you about the digicodes with the codes on the box. And I checked this with Laz. I checked something else with Laz, and he said, no, do it like this. And this is his idea, so blame him. He said, no. When they get to the top, on the front of the box with it's like a little Velcro lift. You lift it up, and it's got the equation or riddle to get the code. And they lift it up, and it says, the code's on the back of the door at the bottom. So they have to then walk down the stairs to get the code off the back of the door. 112 steps. So they get to the back of the door, and then he went, and then do this. And on the back of the door it says, only kidding, the code's under the box. So they go back up and look under the box, and the code's there. And that was brilliant. We filmed it. Kerry, who did our first Berkeley, and we have 2 awards called the God and Cod. God is someone who does amazing. It's not the fastest runner. Could be, but it's not. That's not the criteria. It's not the furthest. It's not someone who goes that extra mile, accepts the challenge, and beats the challenge. And that could be anything from just completing 1 lap to or anything. It can be anything. And then we've got the COD award, and that's just someone who makes a complete COD of themselves. And Stuart won that in the first one because he came in the most positive individual I've ever met, and he came in covered in cowpat, And I was like, you absolute cod. So he won the cod award. So Kerry now runs the tower. And she is brutal. She has no filter. She's awesome, and she's filming it. And people were losing their minds, swearing. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Okay, well, don't break. One of the fastest guys on the thing got there, and he sat there for 7 minutes, contemplating life. And then as he was leaving, he went, "The chimp nearly got out of the box," and. Things like that I love, and then he came back and he said, "I've never done a race twice, never entered a race twice," and I was like, "All right, okay, well, nice to see you." And he went, "Where can I sign up for next year?" And I was like, "Awesome," So and he went, "I'm not letting that tower beat me." He did 3 laps. He did the fun run. Yeah. He wants 4. He wants to be our first ever 4th. But yeah,
Also, no one's ever done 4.
No one's done 4. No.
Oh, wow.
Berkeley Marathon in America, whatever. 20 people have finished that. No one's finished ours yet. That's all I'm saying. So 4 was doable. There was 2 people last year that I think they could have done it. If they'd have, they had the time. But the problem is we've got a great centre in Hamfield's Leisure Centre. And there's a bar, it's warm, it's nice, it's cosy. We put all sweets and treats out and stuff like that. Everybody makes you feel all happy, and we encourage spectators. Family can come down and camp in and all that. And and then it's like, I've got to go back out one more. And it's that challenge back at camp as well. And I'm there going, go on. But there's challenges everywhere in the Berkeley, and on the briefing I say to them, don't trust a word I say, just don't. And also, the challenge started the moment you got here, because there's lots of things we put in, and everything, and like the codes on the boxes. I told them all at the end of the briefing when we gave out the awards. I said, "Was working out the codes hard?" And yeah, it was. I said, "You do know they're all written on the box. In the bottom right-hand corner of every box, I wrote the code." And they went, "What?" And we brought all the boxes back and we showed them. So that people had spent 20 minutes trying to work out this code. The code was on the box. So we will always do things like that to be like, "Oh, I hate you," and stuff like that, because it's building mental rigidity.
And it's those things that's what's getting the people to come back.
Yeah.
It's not just, I'm out here running. It's like, that is an experience.
Yeah, it is an experience, and we've got the other races. We've got the backyard, which is the twist. That's a great twist. We've now taken a backyard to the water. So we've got the dozen dips, which is a 12-hour swim. You swim a mile or half a mile on the hour, every hour for 12 hours. So you either swim 12 miles or 6 miles. You can have a relay team as well. And that's again that mental twist. And the mental thing is that, can you get out of the water? You might get a little bit cold, and then you've got to get back in the water. It's that mental, can I keep going and stuff. So all of our races will have something, and we've got lots planned. We've got so many in the works that we're launching an Ironman distance triathlon. So because obviously I've done Ironman Wales, probably I think one of the best Ironmen in the world. Ironman UK is now gone. Ironman Ireland will be gone. Sadly, the brutal events are shutting down, which is awful. So we're struggling in this country for long distance triathlon. So we are currently trying to put on one. We've got a lot of permissions. We've got everything sort of signed off as pretty much as it can be. We're just waiting on insurance and stuff like that. And it's going to be called the Pennyman. It's going to be the hardest single stage, long stage, so Ironman distance triathlon in Europe.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
What's with the name, the Pennyman?
Because it finishes, so basically it's going to be a lake swim, 3.9k, 112 mile bike, which is going to have around 10,000 feet of elevation gain, and if the bike finishes at the base of Penny Fan. And being ex-forces, you've got the fan dance. So we have got two. The fan dance for the fan dance that civilians know is around half marathon, pretty much bang on a half marathon. So for an Ironman, you need a marathon. So it's 2 laps of the fan dance, but we've modified it because the Mountain Rescue sort of spoke to us about it, and National Trust and everything like that, who own the mountain, have given us permission to do it, but they wanted it done in a certain way, which we are happy to a thing. So it's a marathon, which basically you will summit the fan, all those peaks around there twice. So yeah, but we're looking at having a 24-hour cut-off because it makes it more inclusive.
Yeah,
you know.
While we're on that, because I'm going to be doing an event in just over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Celebrating 1 year of the podcast, where
Awesome.
I'm going to go take a bunch of previous guests and invite all the listeners to come along to come and do the fan dance.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to add a twist to it because adventure athletes can't not add a twist.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the civilian fan dance and like the military one?
Well, so when I was at Brecon, I was doing junior Brecon, which is a promotional course. I was cavalry, I wasn't infantry, but luckily, people say unluckily, but I'm very lucky to get on the infantry course, which was one of the best courses I've ever done. And I got, whilst we were sort of on the weekends and stuff like that, and we were training, and you do the skill at arms section first, which is weapon systems, and then you do tactics afterwards. I wasn't going on to tactics because that is infantry specific, but they were training because on that you do the fan dance, you do everything like that. So we in the weekends, when I went to the course, because I was cavalry, and I was called Cav CUNT on the course, and I turned up in suit as cavalry. We have to courses. Everybody else was in North Face jackets, jeans, and Doc Mines. And they sent me to my room, and in my room was all paras, Pathfinder guys. So I'm like, oh God, they're going to eat me alive. And I just sort of I ended up getting on really well with them. And they were like, come training with us. And I was like, okay. So when they did the fan dance thing. And for them, they were starting, there's a sort of Hawk Conservatory, the other side. And they were starting there and going over. And then you get to the Story Arms car park, where traditionally you would say it starts. Yeah. And then you go from there. So for me, it starts back. But I know other infantry sections have done it. And I know there are some guys out there, Blades guys, that do like a precursor to it. And remember, like this SAS do it. They're knackered already. You know, they've been on that hill probably all week smashing it before the test.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going up and doing that one loop is sort of is not what. There's a few people out there go, well, I can do I've done the fan dance race, so I can pass selection. Nah. Behave yourself. You know, do 2-3 weeks of smashing it beforehand. Yeah. You know, no sleep, injured, you know, proper weight on your back, then do it at the times they do it. Then you can, you know. So yeah, it's a slightly different route, but the traditional is the you know, from the Story Arms. Yeah. So which is hard enough. Let's face it. You know, I'm a fat mess at the moment. So yeah, it'll be tough.
I've done it once.
Yeah.
And I was supporting my friend who was doing it. He was doing it for a diabetes charity.
Yeah.
So he was doing it fully weighted, and I was just going to be his pacer. Yeah. Because in 2020 I snapped my ankle in half. Yeah. I was non-weight bearing for 6 months, and the recovery from that was insane. You've
got a pin and plate in?
No.
Oh, I have.
I got lucky enough that I didn't need surgery.
Yeah. Spiral fracture on my ankle.
It's brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, awful. Yeah.
So I was coming back from that, and I was in the fire service at the time, so I was going through physio with them, and my physio was in like the Midlands somewhere, and he happened to be in the Midlands at the time, and I was like, I'm driving back today, like, do you need a lift anywhere? Like, is it easier for you to get back from Wales than it is from the Midlands? And he was like, I've actually got the rest of the week off. So I was like, okay, I'll pick you up and you can come stay at mine for a few days. On the way back, I was like, we're going to be driving past Pen Van. Do you fancy it? It was like, I'm actually training for the fan dance. And I was like, why train for it? Let's just do it now.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I'll pace you. And I was coming back from an ankle injury. I couldn't run 5k.
Yeah.
But I managed to pace him through it. He didn't quite make the cut off that he wanted to.
Yeah.
But we did the route and everything. But yeah, I want to go back and have my own twist.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few races. There's the fan dance, and then the selection. What's called the SF group or something. Do a few organised races up there, and that's great, fantastic, and they're getting people like moving. So that's awesome. But yeah, there are a few individuals I think that go on those races thinking, I've done the fun dance, I can be SAS. It's like, pull your head out your ass, Yeah,
it is. They go through way more than we think. Like when you see everything online, and you're like, oh yeah, like military selection doesn't seem that hard. When you're actually there and going through it and going through, like, it's not just the physical side of things. It's that mental side of you're sleep deprived, you're not getting enough nutrients, your recovery's like awful, like, and then doing the physical stuff. That's the breaking point. Yeah,
it's knowing a few blades and boats guys. It's I couldn't do it in a month of Sundays.
Yeah. Going back to the Penny Man.
Yeah.
As soon as you said Penny Man, I was like, what twist has he got with this? And I just thought, like, why don't you get them all doing the cycling on a penny farthing?
Well, do you know what things that? There's that's been we've got about 9 races at the moment that we're thinking of doing, on top of what we've got already. We've got the standard ones. We've got like a mince pie run coming up, and like, because I've done the one at Murthmire, the pudding run, which I thought was great. So over in Gloucestershire, we're looking at doing one there. We've got something called the Gap, Mind the Gap, coming up, where basically the start and finish will be sort of 10 metres apart. That you can see the finish from the start. However, there will be a 25 kilometre, 10 metre wide gap that you are not allowed to enter between that start and finish. No route, first person to the finish. So, but if you go in that gap, you're out. So you can, and we're going to do it so that there's 2 options. So you could probably go like road and stuff like that, and through cities and stuff. And then like, so for instance, we're looking at putting the first one on in where it would go 25 kilometres sort of. It would be a 50 kilometre box basically imposed. So you'd have to do 25 around and then 25 down to the start, so 50k. And we're looking at putting that. So you've got the Brecons on one side and then Cardiff on the other. Pick your poison.
Yeah.
So we've got that one. We've got the Hunt, which that's massive. That's going to be huge. So that's going to be basically again, around 50 to 100 kilometre race. I'm not sure yet. But you're going to have a tracker on you. When you go past a 5k line, the tracker turns off. Nobody can see where you are. However, there is a hunter squad out in this area, and they're looking for you. And if they capture you, you're out. And then within this area, there are small circles or big circles and bigger circles or smaller circles and stuff like that. If you walk into one of those circles, your tracker turns on. You know your tracker will be turned on, and then the hunters can see you. Everybody can see you. So you've got to make a decision. do I backtrack and get out of this circle and try and get round it? But you don't know how big it is. So it's like a geolocated circle on the map. Or do you like just try and smash on and try and get out the circle the other side, but risking the fact that the hunters know where you are? And then at the very end of it, we're going to have a treasure chest, and we're trying to get a sponsor at the moment to give us like a gold bar, like a small bullion bar, and that's the treasure. So that makes it accessible for everybody, because the fast people might get caught. But the other twist on it is when you get to the end, there's going to be 5 keys, and only one of the keys opens the box. So even if you're first, if you pick the wrong key, you don't get the prize. So yeah, we're looking at that. There's loads of things that we're looking at. But all of our events, we want to have a twist, have a, not the out of the norm. There's nothing wrong with going running. I love it. I do lots of events like that. But I think, let's just make it a bit crazy. Yeah. So
how do you come up with these ideas?
Just gin. To be honest, I can sit there, and I'm like Jeff. Me and Jeff got on really well. Jeff's an idea man all the time, and that's what I'm like. I come up with all these ideas. I'm like, we can do that. We can do that. We can do that. We can do it. And God, let's have a dragon. Let's put landmines everywhere. No, too much. And my wife has to go stop. Think about, why don't you do it this way? And I'm like, ooh, yeah. And she reins me in. She reins me in all the time. And so I give out the crazy ideas, and then she sort of moulds it into where I'm not going to go to jail, But yeah, normally it's in a pub somewhere, we go for a run, take the dog for a walk, and come back. Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, look how they're doing that. And so yeah, it's inspiration from other things, but yeah, just make it crazy, isn't it? What's the point in not having it? So there's lots of traditional companies out there already. I don't think there's enough crazy ones. Yeah,
there definitely does need to be more crazy in the events world.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, it makes it just different, so much more of an experience.
Yeah.
It's great having the achievement of, yes, I've gone to a 5k or a marathon and I've beat my PB, but then the amount of people that will leave from that event that haven't hit a PB or haven't hit the time they wanted, or maybe not even finished, and they're disappointed because they've set that goal on themselves. A lot of people leave disheartened, and I don't feel like enough people realise that.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I was chasing a GB good age group team for triathlon, middle distance, for a very long time. I had a very good coach, and I injured myself so much trying to get a sub 18 5k, and it just it broke me, but the experience was, there's nothing wrong with that failure. Again, there's nothing wrong with failing, and I think that's just a perspective that people need to change. Is if you fail, that is a fantastic thing, because now you can identify what you need to do, and if you want to do it. For me, I identified what I needed to do. I wasn't willing to do it because it meant sacrificing too much with kids, family, everything like that. So for me, I identified what I was going to do. Could I have done it? Possibly. I reckon I could have, but it would have meant doing things. And as soon as you do those, you can make decisions, and you can go, I'm happy with that decision. Whereas, if you never did it and you were, on your deathbed, I could have done that. Could I have done that? I don't know. And that for me is your own version of hell. So fail. It's awesome. It identifies what you need to do. Then you can make a decision. Are you willing to sacrifice enough to do it?
Yeah.
So.
And it just sounds like that's exactly the mindset that your events almost force onto people.
Yeah.
Like you're saying with this one, with you finish and you've got 5 keys to pick from.
Yeah.
You might win the event. Might not win the prize.
Might not win the prize. Yeah. So
that's just just in itself is a great metaphor for life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I absolutely love what you're doing.
Cool.
I urge everyone who's listening to sign up to an event. And because no one's finished the Berkeley yet, I've got a lot of really good runners that have been on this podcast.
Irrelevant. None of them will do it.
As soon as I finish this recording, we've got a group chat. I'm sending it out there to them. I'm going to be like, someone please go and finish.
I think we've got 20 spaces left. We went from, so we've sold 75 spaces, and that was our maximum number of runners.
Yeah.
We've upped it to 100 this year, and that's probably going to be our max ever. We don't want it to be a massive event, as in numbers wise. It takes the intimacy away from it, and we have the briefing and stuff like that. And Laz sends over a recorded message where pretty much last year called everybody a loser, and we want that intimacy. But yeah, it's if we've got 20 spaces left, if people want to get signed up, again, it all goes to charity. We've got a new initiative with these talking benches that if you go on our social media, I'm personally building these benches, and we're putting them out around my community, and they've got QR codes on for people with loneliness and things, and scan to get through to stuff. So they help to that. We give 50 quid to local coffee shops to put smiles on strangers' faces. So the coffee shop buys, if someone looks like they're having a bit of a hard day, they go, don't worry about it, it's paid for, and stuff like that. So it's not, if you want to feel good about yourself, come do the Berkeley, but you ain't gonna finish.
There's one person that I've got in mind that I'm thinking that they got a good chance.
There's always that person. There was 4 last year. There was 4. One guy at the National Running Show came up to us. We're on the Race Nation stand. Race Nation were amazing with us. And he was like, oh yeah, smash your race. I was like, all right. I said, I don't think you're getting lap 3.
Yeah.
And he came and did it. No, it was the year before it was the National Running Show. And he came and did it. And he pulled out on lap 2. I was like, all that big talk. And he went, and for him, he was a fantastic runner. On paper, he could have crushed the course, crushed it. But he is used to doing long trail races that you start in one place and you just run, and then you finish in another place.
Yeah.
He wasn't in for the mental torture that we place upon him.
That's where this guy stands out in my head.
Yeah.
There's an event, it reminds me of yours. It might be yours. Knowing you, it probably is, but I don't think it is. It's called The Tunnel. Have you heard of it?
I have, yes. Yeah. Mark Bain. Yeah.
The 200-mile race.
Yeah.
Back and forth through a mile-long tunnel.
Yeah. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's a few people have sort of done it. Yeah.
That just sends me like Gert Lush vibes.
Well, I think we would run it slightly differently, but it's there's a good mental challenge. Yeah. Mark puts on some really good sort of mental challenge events.
Yeah, I can't think of anything worse. 200 miles in itself, what a distance, and then through a tunnel back and forth with no sort of stimulation. Oh my god, that would break so many people.
Oh, I mean, we could make it harder. White noise playing in your headphone. You have to wear a set of headphones with white noise playing all the time.
Don't they have like the same classical song playing throughout the
I believe they have some kind of music going on, yeah. But we could make it harder.
You're just like child's play.
Yeah, it's in the dark. It's like asleep. Yeah. So I spent half my life walking and running in the dark. So yeah. No, it's a cracking event, and one that I'd already thought of, and then sort of got beaten to the punch on it. But I wouldn't replicate it now, because that's its own race, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like I think again, there's a few companies out there that steal ideas from other people. There's a couple of Barclays that have already sort of started up around the UK, and they've not really got off the ground. I think if you're going to do something like that, go to the original person, ask permission, like we did with the Berkeley, and once people know we've got the backing of Laz, they're like, oh, like even Damien Hall didn't know we had the backing, and then he went and did. It was a couple of weeks before we went out to do the Berkeley again this year. And he went, I'll speak to Laz and all that. I was like, yeah, crack on, he knows all about it. So, there's the things. But yeah, don't worry, I've got plenty up my sleeve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing that people don't realise is, like, there's people like you and Laz that have these great race ideas, and you do it, and then they try and copy it because they're like, that looks so good, that looks so successful, and they just copy it. It's always going to be a copy, and there's never going to be that same passion and drive behind it because you're copying someone else. It's not your idea, so no matter how hard you try, I don't think they're ever going to go as well because it's just a copy. Yeah,
and Hugh from Pennyclin Ultras is a friend of mine, and he gave me a very good bit of advice. I know nothing. I'm shocking, and so I was picking ideas and speaking to people and go, how should I do this? How should I do that? And I spoke to him, and he said, look, love the idea. He said, you need to put a twist on it for you. Completely away from Laz, completely away from the Berkeley. You've changed the time, and John Kelly's helped you with that and that. And he goes, that's great, but you need to put something on it for you that is unique, that people can go, he's put that idea, he's not just carbon copied the race. And it was his idea, so everybody can thank him on that, to put the books safe. And he was like, you're a locksmith. It works. It's thing, and actually, it's probably one of the better ideas that we've had. There's been the whole idea of a load of people stood there with super soakers, spraying people, and just making them wet and stuff like that. And we're trying to find a river that we can put people in, like near the very beginning of the lap one, and stuff, just so they're wet, just so they're running it wet. If any of you run wet, it's just awful. It's twice as heavy and just wet. So
I've got a story around something similar. I decided from here to cycle to Dartmoor once.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going on a climbing trip to Dartmoor. I like pushing myself physically. I was like, I'll cycle there. Why not? And started off cycling, going down next to the canal.
Yeah.
And there's loads of these bridges that you have to go underneath, and I was manoeuvring them fine, and then on one of them someone stepped out in front of me just on the phone, not paying any attention.
Yeah.
So I had to dodge him. I've got a massive bag on my back with all my climbing gear, my ropes, my harnesses, all of that. Bag bashed into the bridge, tipped into the canal.
Ooh.
I'm in the canal trying to get out, dragging my bike out. I'm 5 miles in.
Oh.
I was like, I could so easily turn back now and just go in. But I was like, no, I'll finish off. 95 miles, I continued cycling, absolutely stinking of canal water.
Canal water. Nice.
Yeah,
that's always good fun. But these things, but you did it, these things are sent to challenge us.
You're saying, it's the experience. Looking back, telling that story, at the time, I was in a bad place. For fuck's sake, I can't believe this happened. Looking back, I'm like, what a story.
Yeah, what an awesome adventure. Honestly, I was turned into a human fountain in the desert, and I was going to propose to my now wife. I had the ring, hidden it in my bag, and every gram counts because you're carrying it. And I was going to propose to my wife at the very end of the MDS. And it got to the point on the long stage, and I was literally naked in the middle of the desert. You just around by the tent. So I walked away from the tent, and they have these toilets. I say they're toilets; they're just a hole dig in the ground, and people, especially the French, no one likes the French. They crapped all over the seat. So if you go in there, basically cholera, you're dead. So people just walk out, dig a hole and stuff, which obviously in the army I've done quite a lot. But I'm stood there naked. It's coming out of both ends like a fountain, honestly. She's come over to me, because I've already crapped myself in my sleeping bag. It was that bad. It was awful. And she's like, I'll go in your bag and I'll get you some this and some food and some water. And I'm like, do not go in my bag, because the ring's in there and she doesn't know about it. Yeah, what a terrible thing. But looking back on it, when I told her about it, I said I had the ring out there and all that I was going to provide. And I said, but And we were like, that's awesome. What an awesome story. You know, I'm going back and, oh my God, I should have done this. Ruined, everything's ruined. But actually, what a funny story, you know. Don't go in. I'm literally going, don't go in the bag. Don't go in the bag. Like, yeah.
I thought you was going to say, as you're like throwing up everywhere, both ends.
Just one knee. No.
Not quite that bad.
No, you know, everybody thinks she's, you know, I'm already massively punching, so I wouldn't have put her through that. No.
Oh, well, I feel like I could sit here and talk to you about this stuff all day, but I know you've got the BigMoose race to go and get ready for. To put up. So, I'll wrap it up here.
Awesome.
The one question I ask my guests at the end of every episode is, if you could set a challenge for the listeners for the week, what would it be?
Make someone smile.
Okay. Straight up.
Make someone smile.
I think that's the quickest anyone's ever answered.
Make someone smile. It's the best thing you could do. You know, tell a joke, to do something good. You know, it doesn't have to be big. Just make someone smile. Pull traffic lights. Everybody ignores each other. Just turn to your right and smile. They might think you're a weirdo, but they might smile back. You know, do something small. Tell it. I give people the joke. How does Bob Marley like his donuts?
Oh.
We're jamming. Yeah, just see, you smiled. Brilliant. You know, just do something. You know, to make someone smile, however big or small that is, and you have won that day.
Incredible. Well, if people want to follow you online, follow your journey, and support Gert Lush, how can they? So
you can either go to their website, which is www.gertlushevents.co.uk, or, you know, follow us on Instagram at gert.lushevents, and come and find us there. We're not the coffee wagon. There's a Gert Lush Events coffee wagon. You know, awesome. That's great what they're doing. We're also not Gert Lush Beer. There's a Gert Lush Beer company in Glastonbury. We're not them. Gert Lush Events Ultras, and come and see what we're doing. And, you know, maybe have a look at taking on an event and challenge yourself.
And if anyone thinks they've got the Berkeley in them, Gauntlets thrown out.
Nah.
Someone's going to finish it, 100%.
Well, you know, there's an email gone out to Jasmine already, obviously. But, you know, it would be... we've got, this year, we've got our first internationals.
Oh.
So there's two coming from Germany, one guy coming from Italy. But I tell you what, the Americans, because I put a post out on another forum that I'm part of, and they were going on about Jasmine and everything. I was like, you do know... The first person to finish the Berkeley was British.
I was going to say that.
The first woman. So the first male, first female, and first people to ever finish the Berkeley are British. I was like, suck it, America.
So, I don't think the Americans have it in them to finish the UK Berkeley.
Oh, I don't know. Apparently, Nobles, John Nobles, was on the spine with Damien and John Kelly. And I think there might have been a conversation down the line, and, you know, Damo has definitely said he's going to do it. He's going to come and do the Berkeley UK at some point when his calendar fits, because he lives just up the road. So yeah, I think the more it goes, so we've got a bell. We've got a bell, and if the first ever whoever finishes the Berkeley, their name will be engraved on the bell. If you don't, we don't do taps. We do the bell. They have to ring the bell and cross out their Polaroid that we take, because they're a loser, and we all shout "loser" when they're ringing the bell. So yeah, if you want to try and get your first person to be named, you know, on that bell, but you're not going to do it.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Cheers.
I really appreciate it.
No worries.
Hope you enjoyed the podcast.
No, it's good. Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Adventure Athletes podcast. If you want to find out more about our guests, check out the links in the description below, where you'll also find a link to our website, our socials, and my BigMoose fundraiser. Let us know in the comments who you want to hear from next, and we'll try and get them booked on as best we can. And if you want to get involved with anything Adventure Athletes, we've got so many things going on. We've got our programming that we'll do for people trying to take their next step into their own personal adventures. We'll do sports massage. We've got events that we're organising both online and in person, and we've got some different activity days based around getting you outdoors and learning something new. So if you want to get involved, check out the website. If you want to find out more about the guest, check out the links in the description, and yeah, let us know who you want on next.